Inspiring Wednesday on the USPBL Network, brought to you by United Shore. With award-winning training programs and a culture dedicated to self-improvement, it's no wonder why they're Metro Detroit's fastest-growing company. Check out their open roles at unitedshore.com/careers. Tonight's game is also presented by Michigan Surgery Specialist. Brought to you by the following corporate partners as well: AAA, Ascension, Balfour Property Restoration, the Detroit Medical Center, Dunham Sports, Dunkin' Donuts, Green for Life Environmental, Green Path Financial Wellness, Jimmy John's, your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, Summit Oral, and United Shore. We thank all those fine partners for their sponsorship of United Shore Professional Baseball League action. We welcome you to the United Shore Media Desk here in our pregame show. A lot of changes here with how the playoffs are going to kind of shake out, and not the format, but how you get there, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's going to be a very interesting finish because of those.
Absolutely. For one thing, we already talked about how the rosters are set now, and that's going to be exciting going forward. We'll start to get a better feel for the guys' roles on each of these teams and who fits in where, and some of that competitive nature that comes along with that. And then, as you mentioned, some changes to how the playoffs get set up, and I think it's something that will be a good fit here. It's something that's not unusual throughout minor league baseball because of the way rosters tend to change, and I think it'll ramp up the competitiveness even more.
8 games each for these teams going forward, and that's something that they wanted to even out as well, kind of heading into this new format.
Yeah, you remember when we started, it feels like July 3rd was a long time ago, but when we got started, the schedule was very unbalanced, and it took a while for us to really get a feel even for the standings because of that. But going forward, much more even, and the way it breaks down day by day, it'll feel more like a typical baseball schedule, I think.
Well, we're going to talk with Andy Appleby, the owner and CEO here of the United Shore Professional Baseball League, in just a couple minutes. But we want to get right to the lineups a little bit quicker than normal. First, for the visiting Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers here today, as always, sponsored by AAA. TJ Riles will lead off and play left field. Freddie Geely, welcome back into the lineup here for Vaughn Joshua's squad, and playing second base, it's Comer, Troyer, and Smith in the middle. Cuevas, Ron Williams Jr., Romero Harris, and Jonathan Brandt will round it out here today against Jamon Taylor. On the other end, for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, their starting lineup also brought to you by AAA of Michigan. Miles Miller sits atop of it again, playing center field. Adam De La Cruz, the ever-steady third baseman and two-hole hitter for Paul Nochi's squad. It's Xavier Warren, Zach Gray, and Riley Mahalik. The dangerous meat of the order here tonight. Greg Vaughn Jr. will follow, and then the bottom three features a pretty good seven-hole hitter in Trevor McKinley. Jake Hoover following him with a big hit the other day, and Jordan Pontius, who started to turn it on as well as this season has progressed. Quickly, your keys to the game.
There's one player I just want to keep an eye on for this one, and really for the whole week, and that's Greg Vaughn Jr.
Yeah.
He's someone that we're starting to see have a lot of really good at-bats. He leads the league in walk percentage, and he's hitting 300 over his last 10 games, which brought his overall average up over 200, which took some doing because he got off to a tough start. But the fact that he's leading the league in walks, the fact that he's got this high on-base percentage of 429 despite the lower average, tells me that he's been having pretty good looks the whole time. He's been having good at-bats, and he's a guy who's primed to break loose, I think.
We'll talk to the owner and CEO of the USPBL next to give you kind of a preview. Everything that happened in the first couple months doesn't matter a whole lot to the playoff picture. The Unicorns will be rewarded for what they did in that first part of the season. Talk about that with Andy and much more when we get back here on the USPBL Network. Don't go anywhere.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
Crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of summer. Make every moment of summer count by picking up Budweiser today.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Just about underway here in this matchup between the Beavers and the Hoppers here tonight on a cloudy day from Jimmy John's Field. Now, proud to be joined by owner and CEO here of the United Shore Professional Baseball League, Andy Appleby. And Andy, I want to go through kind of all the changes that are going to happen over, the next few weeks as we make that push to the playoffs, is what we're kind of coining it now. So, in some respect, the standings don't matter from the previous 2 months, but that's because of all the moving around that was happening in terms of the taxi squad. So Justin Orenduff, yourself, the brass here at the USPBL came together and thought, hey, why don't we, kind of reward the Unicorns with one win so that everybody's going to play 8 more games throughout this push to the playoffs / end of the regular season here. And then we're going to start fresh in terms of where the seeding is going to be. That's going to make for some exciting baseball, isn't it?
It sure is. Jeremy, we've not done this before, but it may be something that we do every year.
Sure.
I think it will add a lot of excitement. I think we've given the Unicorns a pretty big advantage as well, having the 3 points. They also would win all tiebreakers, so you could almost call it 4 points.
Sure.
And, of course, they have some great pitching as well, so they're still the team to beat.
Of course, you're familiar with the format this year. There can be ties, and there can continue to be ties throughout these last 8 games. 1 point for a tie, 3 points for a win. It has that playoff feel kind of as you get into the nitty-gritty, and it feels, you look at even the last week, it's felt a little bit more competitive with these rosters coming together.
Yeah, I think it is. And, we've never had this where players have moved around a little bit. It's always been something that I wanted where all the players stay together and really gelled as a team, created that chemistry. This is a little different with this COVID year. It was a lot of different things that we had to do. Even this is something that I would not necessarily have entertained, but it's a year to be able to do these kind of things. And I actually really like the format. I wasn't too sure when we first thought of it, but it really gives even the Mammoths and Hoppers and Beavers a chance. If they run the table, they're going to win this. They're going to get to the pennant.
And we've seen the Mammoths in the past. You look at last year, they played 3 straight nights that got to the championship game, and that was maybe tiring overall, but we want a story like that going forward.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they were up 5-1 in that game, and we all thought that was it, but the Unicorns came back and won 6-5. But this has been such a difficult year in so many respects for all of us, and so sad when you have 62 sellouts like we've had last year, and we were really coming into our own. We would have had over 1,000 summer picnics this year, and so, for me walking around, it's quite sad not seeing our dance crew and our full array of ballpark promotions and game presentation, but at the same time, I'm very, very proud of our staff for doing so many great things and creating this wonderful broadcast. Who would have thought that we would have, 10,000 people a game watching our games, and just a testament to a lot of our staff coming together. And so it's a little bit of a silver lining, if you will.
Well, from all the comments we get, I guarantee when a full crowd is allowed, it's going to be a full crowd.
Yeah, I like to think with all the pent-up demand that the day we get rid of COVID, we'll sell out for the next 3 years. So all in all, things could be worse. It was a real difficult decision bringing the players back, starting these games with just, 100 people. But we really hope that the governor will allow us more. The nice thing about this is we've kicked out the schedule a few weeks, so we still have 21 games left, which is great. We still have time to really salvage and save the season from an attendance standpoint. And so with any luck, we'll get at least 1,000 people in the stands coming up in the next few weeks.
Well, Andy, thanks for stopping by. It's going to be an exciting playoff push, isn't it?
Yeah, you're doing a great job too, Jeremy.
That. Yeah,
thanks so much.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me. It's great to watch some high-quality baseball here as well. Andy Appleby, the CEO and owner of the United Shore Professional Baseball League. First pitch is next. Don't go anywhere.
They called it the 1,000-year flood. They were having homes and businesses flooded, and roads were being washed out.
My entire house is going to be flooded.
Okay, do you have a second story?
A lot of fear that we were going to lose a lot of people. When we heard the police station was flooded, we immediately gave them our command center to operate out of.
Balfour was our savior. Sheldon and his team restored 25 of our businesses and more than 1,500 residences.
At Balfour, we're restoring more than property.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
One thing that makes Detroit Mercy unique and different from other universities is that the faculty truly care about you and they're always there to help. Whether it's asking questions after class or going into the office hours, they're always there to lend a hand and really make you feel at home.
People are here to work together, and whether like you have a question or you're discussing topics within the class, you can go up to your professor and they know your name. They're just willing to help you become a better overall student.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Catch the Chevy Equinox at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Lease a 2020 Equinox LT front-wheel drive for just $261 a month for 36 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Jamon Taylor, big part of your pitcher comparison here today, brought to you by Denso, Dan.
I like Jamon Taylor. He has made little strides every time he's gone out there. His last appearance, I thought he had much better command overall. He slowed himself up a little bit. Slurve was better, a little bit slower, I think, than he threw it previously. Good changeup, which faded away from the left-handed hitters, and he went 5 innings without allowing a hit, so tough to quibble too much the last time out.
We'll talk about those changes that we talked about briefly with Andy Appleby just a few minutes ago as this game goes on. It's a new format certainly this year in terms of how you qualify, where you're going to be seated. And it's all kind of evolving in front of our eyes just because of the situation that was granted to us in terms of just getting this season underway, Dan. It was a struggle to even do that.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think we feel very good about the fact that, knock on wood, we're going to get through a full season this year. And the way that the rosters were at the beginning, it was largely taxi squad, which meant that guys were going from team to team. And I think if anything was lacking at the beginning of the year, besides the obvious, which is the lack of, fans in the stands, but besides that, if anything was lacking at the beginning of the year, I think it was, the competitive nature that you normally see with baseball teams. And now that the rosters are set, it's exciting to see a race unfold.
TJ Riles, Freddie Geely, Cameron Comer, your Zach Hart agency 3-men due up here in the first inning for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. First pitch of the game at 7:04 p.m., a strike. .76 degrees here in Utica, Michigan, cloudy, and a wind at 9 miles per hour. Feels a little bit chillier than that just because there hasn't been really any sun today, which has been a rarity.
Right.
Lately.
And, 70-something degrees has a tendency to feel chilly for us now. It's just funny. We've had, so many 90-degree days and things like that. It's just, you get 60 degrees in March, and it feels like a beach day.
Here's the 1-1 in there for strike 2. TJ Riles has started out 184 in the average column through 38 ABs. One reason he has a few more ABs out of the new guys is because he's been hitting right at the top.
Sure.
Him and Miles Miller for these two teams.
If there's a common theme across teams, with a possible exception of Kieber with the Mammoths, I don't think the leadoff guys have been getting on base quite enough. That's something that could really kickstart all of these offenses.
Popped him up. Hoover calling for it with Miller right behind him. And actually, it's Miller who calls for it at the last second for out number 1. Check the defense behind Jamon Taylor here today, sponsored by AAA. Vaughn in left. The aforementioned Miller in center, McKinley in right. De La Cruz and Gray on the corners. Pontius and Hoover up the middle, and Xavier Warren completing the battery here tonight.
Good to see this guy back in the lineup.
It is. Deep tissue bruise after getting hit by a pitch a couple games ago. Was scratched from the lineup a few times. Supposed to play game 2 of the doubleheader. Not affecting his hitting when you watch him take BP. That one is going to dribble past the third base bag, my goodness, along with it just hooking on the line, and then the bounce. An infield single for Freddie Geely, just like he drew it up.
I guess that's one way to get a base hit. He couldn't have bunted it any more precise than that one.
What I was saying, so not really affecting his hitting, it was just his throwing. So that's why he really couldn't determine until he got to the ballpark and started throwing whether he could go. So that's why you saw him scratched a couple times. He did feel better even before the game today, but again, it was still TBA until he started warming up and everything checked out. And I'm certainly sure that Von Joshua is glad to see him back in the 2-hole here tonight.
I imagine so. At least I think they could have probably DH'd him if they needed to, but you like to have him up the middle, of course, if at all possible.
You have some versatility on this team with Jalen Smith, Cuevas. He can play a number of positions. Ron Williams Jr. And even you look at today's lineup, Jonathan Brandt hitting at the bottom in the designated hitter spot.
Yeah, obviously it could have been a quick fix if Geely wasn't able to throw. You could just DH him and have Brandt play short and have Cuevas play second, I'm sure. Would have been a quick, easy fix.
One floats outside, 2-1. So it's a 4-seam, a slurve, and a changeup for Jamon Taylor, the 6-foot-tall, 175-pound Florida native. On the ground to Pontius. Turns to Hoover. Ready made for 6-3, erasing double play here in the first inning. Jamon Taylor allows a 1-out single, but that's it here on the USPBL Network.
As we continue to respond to COVID-19 in our communities, Ascension Michigan is with you in this, and we are doing what matters to keep you safe in our care. At our hospitals and sites of care across the state, Ascension Michigan has additional safeguards in place. We are limiting visitors, ensuring proper social distancing in our waiting rooms, offering more online visits, and performing rigorous procedures to clean and disinfect. Our care teams are delivering babies and performing surgery. Now more than ever, it's important not to delay your health care. Schedule your appointments. Make sure children are getting their vaccinations. And if you have an emergency, don't wait. Go straight to your closest Ascension ER. Thank you for continuing to protect yourself and our community by washing your hands, wearing a face covering, and social distancing. Our doctors, nurses, and staff are ready for you when you need us. This is what we do best.
It's the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event going on now at Crest Lincoln. Schedule your remote experience today or visit us here and learn what it means to have vehicle ownership on your terms.
Find some peace this summer in the luxury of the 2020 Lincoln Nautilus. Lease today for only $359 per month. Or drive in comfort and style in the 2020 Lincoln Continental. Lease today for only $361 per month.
Make a summer memory today. Visit us at Crest Lincoln in Sterling Heights or shop now at crestlincoln.com.
There's A.J. Coleman, the 6'8", 240-pound Cincinnati graduate, looking to bounce back here today, Dan.
AJ's got a little something to prove today, I think. His last couple times out didn't look great, lost both of those ball games, and the last time out it was really more the walks than it was the hits that got him. He just has a tendency to miss on his glove side with his sinking fastball, and that's a pitch where you really need to command it well down in the zone in order for him to be effective, and I can only imagine there's some mechanical things that they're trying to work through on that. We'll see what happens today.
making my rounds around the ballpark as I do before games sometimes, just to kind of stretch out as you sit down all game long calling these games. But you look at A.J. Coleman, I'm just, walking as he's stretching and running on the right field, down the right field line, and you think, wow, this guy's 6'8", throwing downhill.
Right.
If he just makes a few tweaks, he can be just really good.
And how about that extra high mound that we have in the USPBL, too?
Sure.
I mean, he looks like Andre the Giant out there. But you're right. If he can get on top of that pitch, he's got that downward plane just built in with his body style. And if he can just hammer the strike zone, the bottom half of the strike zone with that pitch, he could really do some good things. And I know they had high hopes for him coming into this year. And I think it's, he's been okay. Don't want to sneeze at his whole season, but it's, I don't think the velocity and definitely not the command has been there on the two-seam fastball really since the beginning of the year.
Miles Miller, Adam De La Cruz, Xavier Warren, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here in the first inning. First pitch to Miles Miller is down low. Miller hitting .226. He's had a little bit of trouble getting on base in terms of the walks to strikeouts so far. 1 walk to 8 Ks. Here's a flare to left. Riles under it for out number 1. Let's take a look at the rest of the defense behind A.J. Coleman here tonight for the Beavers. Brought to you by AAA of Michigan. Riles in left, Harris in center again. He's been playing a lot of right lately. Jalen Smith in his spot over there. Troyer and Williams on the corner. Geely and Cuevas at second and short, and Comer behind the dish here tonight. First pitch in for strike 1 on Adam De La Cruz.
That was a well-located pitch right there, down and in on the righty. That's the spot that he needs to hit with that pitch. That was more of what we've been seeing. So there's going to need to be a better consistency to that.
He said that flying open, like you saw there on the glove side, is something that he's struggled with throughout his career. Attributes maybe part of it to just how he throws, but also comes out a little bit more when he's tired down the end of the game.
I can only imagine this because, as you know, I'm 5'9", but I imagine, having really good control over your arms and legs when you're 6'8" is a challenge. I can only assume that that's a big challenge. And being able to repeat your mechanics for 100-plus pitches has got to be a challenge.
Line drive to the gap in left center field. Harris going back, snares it. Wow, in the gap. Romero Harris able to take a hit away from Adam De La Cruz.
That's plus defense there from Romero Harris. His pitcher's going to owe him a beverage after the ball game for that one. He definitely saved a double.
Good swing by Adam De La Cruz. And that's that gap-to-gap hitting when he was playing for Jim Essian that he was kind of looking to come out. We have not seen any homers so far this year from De La Cruz, but 6 doubles to his credit. First pitch to Xavier Warren down low at 87. Xavier Warren, Zach Gray, Riley Mahalik. The meat of this order here tonight for Paul Noce. It's a good-looking lineup. They just want a guy like this to really show what he has. Home run in the doubleheader to ultimately put them ahead in that game. So not only huge for the team, but Paul Noce said huge for his confidence because they can believe he can obviously be a really good hitter at the pro level.
There's no question he has the ability to be the best hitter in this league.
Hitting just .214 coming into play today, is slugging .393.
Switch hitter on top of it.
Sharply hit. Caesar with a nice backhanded play as he throws it across the diamond. Off the bat at 91. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Coleman, just what the doctor ordered here in the first for him. Now time for Jimmy John's Freaky Fast trivia. Dial it up. What do we got? Among land animals, which species has the largest eyes?
Oh,
It
really?
says an elephant, an ostrich, a giraffe, or a rhino.
Wow, that's hard. Rhinos are enormous animals. Ostriches certainly have big eyes. That's tough. I'm just going to go with the I'm going to go a little off the board maybe with Rhinoceros. D, Rhinoceros.
Ostrich. That was my guess.
I could see that with ostrich. You know, they do have prominent eyes, it seems.
USPBL.com/shop is your place for everything USPBL merchandise. Get the hoodies. That's the big thing now as we head towards fall.
It's almost that time. I think I want one more of those dry fits, though. I wore the one that I did get, the Mammoths one. Pretty comfortable. Fits, yeah, fits well. I might grab one more of those.
It's a good-looking shirt, for
It
sure.
is.
So kind of talking about a little bit more what we broke down with CEO and Commissioner of the USPBL, Andy Appleby. So all the rosters are set. And I know we talked about this last week, but the taxi squad no longer. That's the sigh of relief probably for a lot of players, for us broadcasters, for the managers, just knowing their team. We heard many interesting stories. Von Joshua told a couple, is like, hey, Von Joshua, nice to meet you. Oh, you're my starting pitcher here tonight, just with the masks and, you know, rosters in between. But so taxi squad no longer, everyone assigned to their team. And not only is that just to create some competitiveness, but just also, you know, kind of settle things back where they would have been if it was a normal season. With that, nearly all the records are wiped out from the start of the year. So everyone going forward, with the exception of these two teams, because they play every doubleheader going forward as well. So they'll play technically 3 extra 5-inning games than everybody else, which going forward, the 5-inning games will be more developmental purpose, more on them and what goes into that later. I don't want to confuse everybody too much by going on too many different topics, but sticking with that. So the Unicorns, because they were the regular season champions, you know, by storm, they deserve that title. They probably would have kept that title if everything, you know, was kept along the stretch run here.
Sure.
They will be awarded 3 points. So it's now a point system for this new push to the playoffs initiative here in the league, as heart of the order coming up for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. It's Sam Troyer, Jalen Smith, and Cuevas here, as that one is into right. McKinley got a late break, but he's able to recover.
Laid out.
For out number 1. So a point system. You get 3 points for a win, no points for a loss, and 1 point for a tie, which is still possible. So we're going to play 7 innings all the way home here. The 2 extra innings, just as we have played with the international run rule, starting on second base going down the stretch. So 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie. The Unicorns, because they're the regular season champion, will start with 3 points.
Right.
Which in an 8-game setting is big.
That's a lot, yeah.
Hoover able to place it over to first base to Zach Gray.
It's like having a 1-game lead with 8 games to go.
Sure.
You know, basically.
So that's an important thing to note. Another important thing when it comes to tiebreakers, the Unicorns will win any tie, just because they're also the regular season champions.
So it's like, again, to go further with this, it's like having a 1.5-game lead in a certain way, because you have that tiebreaker also.
And then if it comes down to the 2 teams playing tonight, the Beavers and the Hoppers, because they're playing those 5-inning games, which will not count to the point system or to your wins and losses in this new push to the playoff segment. If there's a tie between these 2 teams, whoever wins 2 out of 3 in those double headers over the next 3 weeks will then win that tiebreaker.
Right. Because it only affects those 2 teams since they're playing all 3. So it'll basically serve as a tiebreaker between those 2.
And if by chance the Westside Woolly Mammoths tie with either the Beavers or the Hoppers, then they will look at runs scored overall.
Right.
So I know that's a lot of information.
It's a lot of
certainly,
information.
if you have questions about it, you can chime in on the chat, and we'll try to answer to the best of our abilities and make it make sense, hopefully, for you at home.
Long story short, we're kind of starting over to some degree. Long story short.
And that's not unique in a minor league baseball / independent baseball setting. I mean, you look at the Great Lakes League locally here with the Class A affiliate of the Detroit Tigers and the West Michigan Whitecaps, the Great Lakes Loons in Midland. The Lansing Lugnuts as well. The Blue Jays, they do a first half, second half champion.
Yep, and it's for a similar reason, really. The reason that they do that is because in minor league baseball, there's a lot of roster movement from the beginning of the year to the end, which is the same as we had here. It was for a little bit of a different reason, but because of that roster movement, we have sort of our version of a first half champion, somewhat, which is the Unicorns, and they'll have that step ahead. They'll have that leg up when it comes to this next part of the season, which is September.
That was your DTE Energy Kid Race, the mascot. More on that and much more when we get back.
DTE Energy customers can get their share of huge lifetime energy cost savings. How? By using our website. The Oslin's new programmable thermostat saved them a bundle. And their new efficient furnace earned them a hefty rebate. All over Michigan, people like the Oslins are saving. Why not you? There are always new ways to save at dteenergy.com/saveenergy. DTE Energy.
A.J. Coleman back out for his second inning of work. He set the Hoppers down 1-2-3 back in the first, but back to all the new changes. The playoff format in and itself, in terms of the matchups, have not changed, and they will not change going forward. So just as last year, the 3 versus 4 seed will play each other on Thursday, correct? Friday. On Friday. The winner of the 3 versus 4 matchup will face the number 2 seed, who obviously gets a bye to the second game. And then the winner of that
and that would be on Saturday. Yep.
Plays the number 1 overall seed, who has a bye all the way to the championship. So you want the 1 and 2 seed for obvious reasons.
And the Unicorns will have a 3-point advantage in getting to that 1 seed spot, which is where they want to get, and they will get that advantage because they won that first part of the season. And I can see how the other teams are probably excited by this, especially the Mammoths, because they were sort of digging out of a hole. But you look specifically at that Mammoth squad. The squad that they have now and the squad that they started with really doesn't look very much alike.
Well, and it's almost like if you're the Mammoths as well, you're relieved because you still don't have that 3-4 game spread.
Mm-hmm.
You felt probably like it should have been much closer.
Oh, sure.
Because of the winning streak they were able to put together. They did lose their last game, but overall, that's a team that maybe doesn't want to erase things mentally and just view it as, wow, we're right in the thick of things again, and we're playing hots right now.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they had a very good September.
Troyer, tough play across the diamond, tough scoop as well for Williams Jr. That's going to be a tough score.
It will. Try to get another look at it, but could maybe go either way. Gray doesn't run great, so I don't think his speed necessarily put a lot of pressure on that play, but I don't know. I think it's an E5, really. Had the throw been easier to handle by Williams, I think he's out.
Not marked it on the board quite yet. The double clutch as well by Troyer, and it was crippling. I mean, he didn't take a long time as some double clutches do, but just the fact that he had to come in, the fact that he had to go down, scoop it up, and have a dart of a throw if he had any chance to get him, makes it a tough error if, in fact, that is what they scored. But I think I'm with you.
They tend to disagree with me. The official scorers do. Every time I say something, they tend to go the other way.
Riley Mahalik broke his bat, so I'll have to get some pine tar on that new one. Jeremy Idle alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring in the call here today. If you missed the interview with Commissioner and CEO Andy Appleby, you can rewind after the game on Facebook and YouTube. Talk to him about some of the changes, where the league has gone in the last year, because it's certainly been a different year. I mean, just like this broadcast has progressed quickly, the USPBL has progressed.
Oh, yes. It, as someone who was around in the offices and everything as it led up to the season, we were very nervous about getting a season in. This is a league that really thrived under the idea of selling a lot of tickets and selling out the majority of the games, and that was no longer a possibility.
Quite frankly, without you watching in huge numbers at home and all our great partners, we wouldn't be here today.
There's no question.
We wouldn't even have maybe, gone past a month worth of season.
If that.
Because the hope was that there would be more fans in the building. Unfortunately, the country and Michigan hadn't progressed the way everyone was hoping at this moment. I mean, we even look towards what's happening here in the fall and in the winter.
Sure.
Everything's still very much in question. But the number one thing that it comes back down to, you've seen other independent leagues follow this model that's been here ever since. So obviously they're not. I'm not saying we planned it. You know, that's why we have 4 teams in one stadium. But at the same time, it works pretty good, doesn't it?
Sure. I think thinking back to that time, that was a well hit ball.
Geely trying to recover. Mahalik going to run it out.
Now that one is a base hit. I can promise you that.
And you can't fault A.J. Coleman for very much so reacting, because that's what that is. But if he didn't touch it, probably an out.
Right. Thinking back to that time at the beginning of the season, much like now, there was a lot of rumors, right? So, we thought, I think, when the season started, we're starting with 100 people, but within a couple of weeks, we're going to be up to 20% of the ballpark, or we'll be up to at least 10% of the ballpark, right? But it just didn't, it didn't play out the way that we had hoped in that regard. And as you mentioned, if it wasn't for our great sponsors and all the folks working on this broadcast, it wouldn't have played out as well as it did. And we're speaking almost like it's the end of the year, but it's not. As Andy said, we've got 21 games to go.
21 exciting games. We're certainly excited about what we have going forward. And I think talking about what the Mammoths have done here at the stretch run, I mean, it was even exciting without this new caveat. 0-1 is spoiled foul here by Greg Vaughn Jr.
And I still like the Unicorns' chances of finishing out on top, just with the pitching staff that they have. And of course, the 3-point advantage and the tiebreaker will come into play, which they earned, from the last couple months. I certainly like their chances of finishing on top, but I like some of these other teams too. I still like the Hoppers lineup a lot. I like the way that the Westside Woolly Mammoths look right now. So anybody's ball game.
And 2 on Greg Vaughn Jr. Some changes that Paul Noce is trying to make with him. They're trying to get him to move his hands a little bit more and set up and trigger in the box.
Everybody's got to have a trigger.
Still pretty silent, but even the subtle motion that you see there can help, right?
Oh, yeah. It helps with your timing. It helps you get your bat going a little bit quicker. Now, I think the plus side to how still he is I think he sees the ball really well, which has played out to his advantage. He takes a lot of walks, as we mentioned in the pregame. So hopefully he can get his lower half and his bat started a little bit quicker, but still maintain that eye that he's shown to this point.
Runner bluffs to second base, and a big swing and a miss there by Vaughn Jr., and that's something he has not done lately.
Right.
Is strike out.
It was a very hittable ball, too. He just swung right through it. I think he'd like to have that one back. Hung a curveball.
So the first out of the inning is a huge one with runners on the corners here, and Trevor McKinley coming to the plate. 242 in the average column, a couple doubles and a home run. This is the guy they think can show some major overall. And when Paul Noce talks about this lineup, I said, hey, you put together a pretty good lineup here. And he's like, yeah, but you look at it, and I just think they're producing so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you see it sort of come out, in the first game of the doubleheader, and then it became tight
right.
all of a sudden. But a guy like McKinley, a guy like Greg Vaughn Jr., who they think has some power and should pull the ball a little more. You look at Warren, Gray, Mahalik, De La Cruz. These are all solid hitters.
Yep. There may be a time when they all start clicking, and that'll be a fun thing to see. I think they're lacking a little bit at the top right now. Miles Miller's not quite gotten on base enough to really kickstart that offense. They really made a nice, I shouldn't say move, but acquiring De La Cruz was big for that lineup.
There's a line drive to center that's going to carry nearly all the way to the gap. Gray is easily scoring, and going first to third is Riley Mahalik. And there's the first run of the ball game. It's kind of a tough break for A.J. Coleman. Makes a couple good pitches, gets a weak ground ball to third. Tough play for Troyer, he can't handle. Then the single off his glove, which was very catchable for Freddie Geely. Struck out Greg Vaughn Jr. and just has a solid piece of hitting there by Trevor McKinley. But again, that's one where you wish you could have gotten some breaks your way.
That's a really good approach there by McKinley, too. That's how you need to approach a right-handed sinker baller like this if you're a left-handed hitter. Don't try to get out in front and pull it. Just let the ball travel. Think about driving it into left center field, and that's exactly what he did.
All of Armada was watching as Jake Hoover walked it off in the second game of the doubleheader, the tight 2-1 victory for this Diamond Hoppers squad. Had a pretty good family contingent in the building as well, which was cool.
Yeah, we heard a lot of Hoover chatter that night.
He said even that's something that when he was in the minor leagues last year that fans would do was pick up on the Hoover.
And he hit that off of his Texas teammate.
He did. Josh Smith. He could potentially be a big piece to the Beavers bullpen.
Oh, sure.
Going forward. Because there's been a little bit of wavering there.
Price has been up and down a little bit recently.
Talked to Jack Ferguson before the game. He's been out for nearly a month. Had a great start to the season with that sidearm delivery. He has an arm strain, and he believes that maybe some of that has to do with the fact that he's pitching differently now. Coleman trying to stare back Mahalik here, or that's a McKinley. This is Mahalik coming home. He is out. Hoover ends up on second base. There's your Sherwood Brewing pickle of the game. Tomorrow you can pick up a half-off pickle pizza at Sherwood Brewing, not too far away from the ballpark here.
Well, that's really on McKinley there. The situation where there's a man in front of you and there's an open base behind you, you have to watch the lead runner, make sure that he's going. And in that situation, he ran him off the bag.
So there's two runners in scoring position, again with 2 outs and the bottom of the order due up. But a month ago, the bottom of the order, if Jordan Pontius was there, wouldn't be all too threatening, but he's turned it around a little bit at the plate.
Yeah, he's been swinging the bat better for sure.
Dug himself into a pretty deep hole to begin the season, so his average is only up to 186, but you look at the numbers and he's 6 for his last 13. And those are 6 hits out of 13 total. And
He's had some extra base hits, too.
Yeah. 2 triples in that stretch. Placed them kind of perfectly here in the ballpark. The place to get a triple is certainly down the left and right field lines. And even here at Jimmy John's Field, based off, you know, how tight those are compared to all the other foul territory, it's not easy. So it's almost like you need to have that outfielder playing over. He needs to slice immediately or dribble to the corner and then put on the wheels.
Well, right center is a little ways out there. You could definitely get a triple if you hit one all the way out that way.
Line drive up the box. Harris trying to come in. Can't get that one. One run is around to score. They'll hold the second. Pontius trying to take second base, and he will.
Harris airmailed that throw a little bit. Had he thrown through the cutoff man more so, that would have kept Pontius at first. But good base running there.
And that's just a case of not trying to do too much, putting a good swing on a low and away pitch and driving it to center.
Yeah, they have a nice approach against Coleman tonight, really. They're not trying to do too much, as you said. They're just hitting the ball where it's pitched, and that's what you need to do against a guy like him.
So 2 in and 2 outs as we run it back to the top of the order in Miles Miller. He's familiar with the leadoff spot. That's partly why they have him here. De La Cruz has led off this year, but he didn't do so great for whatever reason with the Unicorns. And maybe it's just, you know, the pressure of drawing walks. He's moved down to the 2-hole, and walks have become his thing all of a sudden, too. So it's just a matter of settling a guy down at times. Coleman able to feed it over to first base, and that ends the 7-batter second inning of play. here on the USPBL Network.
The difference that we bring to pediatric care isn't just the fact that we care deeply about our patients and want to partner with their parents in delivering the best care for their children, because a lot of pediatricians can deliver great care. What we do differently at Campground Pediatrics is we offer a different environment to deliver that care, and we offer personal service in a way that many practices can't.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
What makes Detroit Mercy so unique is the fact that it's in the middle of Detroit, and especially with their service learning programs, you really get a chance to be a part of the community.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Jeremy Otto and Dan Griesbaum to bring the call here tonight. So glad you could tune in here in the USPBL Network. Remind you can comment with us on Facebook and YouTube. A lot of you have chimed in on what your final score prediction will be here tonight. Jane Shoemaker saying tuning in from Arizona, looking for a Beaver win here tonight. Kelly Golick says, "Go Beavers!" Good amount of you watching on both platforms so far, so keep it going. And if you like what you see, if you think this is exciting baseball, certainly share it with your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, any social media platform you have. And join in on our states chase. We want to see all the states be represented, some more countries before the end of the year. So tag your friends that maybe watching around the U.S. and internationally as well.
It's a fun thing about this streaming platform. It's free and it goes everywhere.
And maybe they love minor league baseball because they're a town that doesn't have a major league team and they're really hurting for some good quality baseball. Technically, we have some affiliate players here that next year will be going back there or starting their careers, and Joey Weimer and Xavier Warren. 2-0 on Ron Williams Jr.
There's a lot of towns out there that are used to having minor league baseball that don't have it this year.
High and away. There's a look at the map. So, do you have friends in Washington, Montana, Wyoming? We want to hit that side of the U.S. Iowa as well, Minnesota. Come on, that's not too far away. Maine. Those are some nice areas to be. Strike one to Ron here. Jamon Taylor 6 up, 6 down. Or no, I take that back. He has faced the minimum both innings, but gave up a 1-out single. He raced that off a 4-6-3 double play. Pontius will continue a 5-out streak now for Taylor. He looks locked in, Dan.
He does. He's had a lot of success lately. He's throwing all of his pitches for strikes. Looks a lot more poised than maybe early on when we saw him out there. He's done a nice job.
Tracy Goatsy says, "Go Hoppers." We watch all the Hopper games from Phoenix. We're so grateful for the sponsors that have been a part of supporting these leagues, this league, and guys out there. Paul Lewis Snyder says, "Hello from Three Rivers."
Is that Pennsylvania?
Could be.
Or Three Rivers, Michigan. Is there a Three Rivers, Michigan?
Not sure on that.
I'm thinking of. I think I thought Pennsylvania because of, you know, the Three Rivers that come together there, and the stadium was named Three Rivers at one time.
There is a Three Rivers, Michigan.
I'm sure that's what they meant then, probably.
This one popped up. Xavier Warren sliding. Did he hang on? He did.
He did hang on.
We can't really see it down there. You got to rely on the reaction.
Showing off that athleticism.
He's only going to get better there.
No doubt.
And his athleticism is going to carry him through it?
Well, part of it you can't teach, which is the throwing arm in a lot of ways. You can improve your throws, the accuracy, the mechanics, things like that, but he's got, as far as pure strength of throwing arm, it's definitely there. The athleticism is there, just some of the nuances that come with catching, maybe some of the blocking and receiving that he's going to improve at.
First pitch to Jonathan Brand is in for strike one. So Three Rivers just south of Kalamazoo. Have to check it out. Never been there. 0-1 is in for strike two. The two-seamer running in. Doesn't throw that pitch all too often.
It's a tough pitch if he locates it there.
0-2 popped him up. Gray says, I got it. Everybody away for out number 3. Jamon Taylor, all contact thus far, but he is cruising through 3 innings of play thus far. Time for JJ the Water Boy, presented by Michigan First Credit Union here tonight. JJ darted towards me on the concourse earlier, acted like he wanted to be pet, but then he just walked away.
Yeah, I think he realized that you worked here. He tends to, on game days, he tends to ignore his employee friends. He seeks out the paying public.
Every time we go down to record our open, it seems like he's zipping by like 2 minutes before.
Yeah, that's part of his routine, I guess. We've noticed we're really starting to accumulate a lot of baseballs inside the office there. Sometimes he snags balls that we don't even know are out there, and then he brings them back in.
Well, A.J. Coleman on for his 3rd inning of work here. De La Cruz, Xavier Warren, Zach Gray, or Zach Hart Agency. 3 men, 2 up here in the 3rd inning. So you look at the 2nd and you say, ooh, bad inning on paper for Coleman. But when you look deeper, the leadoff error on a tough ball down the line, weak contact. Not great contact, certainly defendable on a ball that went off his glove off the bat of Mahalik. That put runners on 1st and 3rd. Then the strikeout to Greg Vaughn Jr., so that's the positive, the first out. Solid single off the bat of Trevor McKinley. I'm not going to say he hit it, weakly, but it was, one of those ones that he had a great approach on and just kind of sunk it into left center. The fielder's choice by Jake Hoover. The single by Jordan Pontius and the ground out by Miles Miller ended the threat.
I think AJ is going to have to find something that is his put-away pitch. He doesn't really have that right now. I think his current arsenal is one where he's just trying to induce weak contact as much as possible, and for him to do that, he really needs to have precision command with that two-seam fastball.
First pitch curveball right down the middle, and De La Cruz going to line out to Harris. So 2 strong swings by De La Cruz, but the exact same result, lining out to Romero Harris. John Murphy on YouTube says Jordan Pontius is my favorite player. Has he said that before? I feel like
I think he has. He's very adamant about that. But Jordan Pontius, at least to our knowledge, hasn't said that about John Murphy.
Ooh, burn.
So maybe he's just not the...
Just creating controversy when there doesn't need to be any.
Maybe he's not the YouTube type.
This one outside to Xavier Warren. Ground ball to complete a 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Coleman. Flips in there at strike 1. And this league is not easy on either side. I mean, you look at the pitching up and down. I mean, better than what most guys are going to see every day, even in college, consistently.
Oh, for sure.
But then on the flip side as well, for these pitchers, when you're facing, for the most part, the same team, not every other night, but it can be to that extent. It can be tough because then they figure you out, and you're almost making adjustments just based off the competition as well.
It's a good place to cut your teeth because it's a challenge. It's a real challenge on both sides. A.J. Coleman, that slider he threw down and in to Xavier Warren, that looks promising, the way that he was able to command that pitch.
John responds, he says he thinks it, he just doesn't say it.
Okay. I have no reason to not believe that. Maybe we can have our stat gurus look up the John Murphy versus Jordan Pontius matchups this year.
Ooh.
And see who's getting the best of that. I can't say I know off the top of my head. I definitely don't.
2-2 on...
Because maybe Jordan is John's favorite player because he's having success against him.
There you go. Hit that one in the screws, but again, right at Harris. 3 line drives were recorded by Romero here today. Jeffrey Harris on YouTube says, nice grab, Romero. Jeff Harris from California. What are you having for dinner, Jeff? It's around that time. Cindy Wilkins on Facebook says, go Hoppers. Zach Gray trying to get on for the second time. He scored the first run of the ball game after he reached after the error. 7-batter inning for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Out in front of the 77-mile-an-hour curveball there. Leaving that one up a little bit here in the third inning. De La Cruz, eyes lit up when he saw it on the first pitch and ended up lining out to center. Everybody at normal depth with 2 outs. That's just whittled foul.
That's another really good pitch right there with his 2-seam down and away against the lefty, just a little bit out of the zone. But it looks in the zone. When you go to swing, it looks in the zone, but then it falls out of the zone. It's late movement. It's very important to his success.
Does get 16% swings and misses on the curveball. That's by far the most. Just 4% on the fastball, 10% on the changeup. And the changeup is a pitch in development. And AJ admitted before the game here today, hey, we've heard this from other guys too. The changeup, one of the toughest pitches to develop.
No doubt. There's guys who try their whole career to develop it and just can't quite master it.
Little pop fly. Riles is under it. And a good inning again for A.J. Coleman. So he's had 2 1-2-3 innings, a long second inning. That's why it's 2-0 in favor of the Eastside Diamond Hoppers here.
Hi, I'm Allison with the Sports Performance Tip of the Game, brought to you by DMC Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. With so many options to choose from for a drink after a strenuous workout, which would you choose from? A, chocolate milk, B, a sports drink, or C, a soda? Well, if you said chocolate milk, you are correct. Chocolate milk is packed with carbohydrates and proteins and is a great option to replenish the fuel needed after a very hard workout or competition. It has double the value of a lot of the normal water or sports drinks and is a great option. Within 15 to 20 minutes after your workout is a very important time to replenish the fuel and set you up for success for that next training session. So don't forget to reach for a nice cold glass of chocolate milk after your workout.
Javon Taylor very efficient through 3 innings. Has just given up 1 base hit back in the first, and he snappily delivered a ground ball for a 4-6-3 double play. Since then, he's retired 7 straight. 27 pitches, that's all.
That's his key. He pounds the zone.
Time for your senior spotlight, sponsored by Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. Luke Crowd from Cousino High School. He's a football player, a gamer. Likes to hang out with friends as well and share some laughs. I like that. Senior Spotlight brought to you by Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. And on the schools topic and football topic, who would have thunk, but the high school football conversation has come up again locally here in Michigan. Governor Whitmer kind of alluded to maybe making another announcement in a couple days, whether that would be allowed, or I think it's in general about fall sports. But I'm interested in hearing from everybody too, because we have that broad viewership. What is your state doing with high school football? Has it started? Is it not going to start? Has it started late? Are they still trying to figure things out? It's an interesting topic. I know Utah, we were talking about it before the game, and Utah maybe not a great comparison to Michigan just because of population and how communities are spread out, but they have had 0 positive cases in football players through 4 weeks. That's pretty remarkable.
That's great.
TJ Riles looks at one bounce. I think Jeremiah Hergat, our graphics man and producer, was talking about that before the game here today. Part of the research department back there.
I can't recall us ever talking about Utah high school football before. We've talked about many things. We've talked about many things.
Got a playoff push going here. Anything can come up.
Right. What
a play by Jordan Pontius. 1 up and 1 down here in the 4th.
Maybe that's why he's John Murphy's favorite player. Flashes the leather.
Freddie Geely had a cue ball singled on the third base line. It was one of those ones that kind of hung along the line. Taylor Cruz was like, should I take it, should I not? And then it bounced off the third base bag and trickled a few steps behind. And with the speedy Geely running, he had no shot. Probably had no shot at anybody running.
Not if you let it hit the bag. Not usually.
Popped him up. It is De La Cruz and Xavier Warren going after it, but that's spoil at a play. And the first pitch strikes is certainly something that's helped Jamon Taylor here today. First pitch swinging by these batters. Went to 1 3-ball count and then got Ron Williams Jr. to ground out back in the 3rd. This looks like an energized number 1 here tonight. 0-2. Beautiful slurve on the inside part of the plate at 77 for his first strikeout.
That's been the biggest change to Jamon Taylor, you know, from now to when he started, is getting the secondary stuff over the plate. He had the good fastball even from the beginning, but had a tendency to rely on it because his other pitches were not easy to command. He didn't have consistency with the other pitches, and he's been showing that now.
Talk to him about that slurve grip. And he says it's a curveball grip. You know, slurve, kind of the hybrid between the slider and the curve according to the movement. It's a curveball grip, but he comes out a little bit differently, kind of in between what the release point would be for a slider and a curve. And I thought he said something interesting. I don't necessarily worry, in his words, I don't necessarily worry about, you know, whether it's a slider break more often or a curveball break more often. I don't get it in my head that it has to be one or the other. I just take it for what it is that night. And you think about that, and like that's almost ingenious in that, you know, one night it can act like a slider, or one pitch to the next it can act like a slider, then it's a curveball, so it's almost like a fourth pitch to the arsenal.
Well, pitchers have a tendency to do that when they throw both pitches. Usually one of the two is on and the other one's not, so they kind of ride that one. Usually the curveball and the slider aren't both on to the same degree on the same night, but it's interesting that he feels that way about one pitch, you know, that they can act differently from night to night. And we saw a couple times in this at-bat so far the changeup tailing down and away from Comer, and that can be a really effective pitch, especially against left-handers.
18% swings and misses on the change. Popped him up, and De La Cruz will shift that one out. Nearly all of these Beavers hitters under the pitches from Jamon Taylor here tonight. Why in general is that the case?
That's in general the case with all hitters all the time. There's just a tendency to miss underneath. I think it's getting worse. I don't know if worse is the right word, but it's getting more prevalent year after year because players have more of an emphasis on launch angle, as we've talked about before, dipping that back shoulder a little bit and coming up underneath the ball a little bit more.
The analytics brass, not here necessarily, just in general, will say that's fine because, you know, home run, strikeout high is the trend these days.
Yep.
On the ground to Pontius, surrounds that one, made it look easy. Boy, did he, but that was a pretty tough play.
Nice range. And he plays deep. He plays deep, and it allows him to do that.
He's a big reason why Taylor has another 1-2-3 inning.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. FSBcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Want to hit your home cleanup project out of the park? Well, making sure that your driveway is safe from damage? Rent a rubber-wheeled trailer from GFL and keep all of your bases covered. Our trailers come in 20 and 30-yard sizes for all your cleanup needs. Call GFL today to order your driveway-safe rubber-wheeled trailer. Team GFL, helping you win your cleanup project.
Reading program of the game sponsored by CGC Water and Hungry Howie's from the Lamphere School District. It's Lamphere Early Childhood Special Education Program. Miss Pettinger is the featured teacher here today. Look at the reading program of the game, brought to you by CGC Water and Hungry Howie's.
My kids just found out their teachers today. They start.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they start on the 8th in Grosse Pointe. They just found out their teachers today. It's a little bit different than normal because some teachers now are assigned to doing virtual learning only the entire year, and then other teachers are assigned to starting virtual, but then having the possibility of going back to the classroom, hopefully.
I don't know how it works these days, and obviously probably this isn't the case now, but I always remember, going to St. Joan of Arc grade school, that day came where you found out your teacher, so you kind of walk up to the window and all the lists are posted with your teacher and your classmates, and like, my best friend's not in my class.
Right, yeah. It's online now, of course, but it's I remember when I was a kid, which was even further back than your situation, but I remember kind of riding my bike around the neighborhood trying to find my parents or my friends' houses to ask them who their teacher is. Of course, that's not even something you really let your kids do anymore, at least not in elementary school. You don't just let them go ride their bike around the neighborhood.
Did you bring your baseball cards with you? Or what?
Not on my bike, no.
You got any new packs for me today?
I don't. I'll keep my eyes open, though.
So got these up here.
Right. You still have one of the old books with the pages somewhere in the house?
I do. It's actually still at my parents' house.
Okay.
I have not gone through all the sports materials yet. The problem is we don't have a basement, so there's not much storage. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with everything. I got all those bobbleheads too.
Basements are key when you have kids, for sure.
Here's the 0-1 inside. On the other hand, I think it's good to not have a basement because then you can't keep all your crap.
Well, that's true.
You'll never look at, right?
Right, for sure. I'm sure your parents would like you to have a basement, though.
True, yes. Here's the 1-1. Popped it up foul. 1-2 on Riley Mahalik. A.J. Coleman would love another quick inning at a 1-2-3 bid in the third. That's all Jamon Taylor has been here today. Mr. Quick Inning, as that one pipes outside with the changeup.
He lived a little bit dangerously last inning. A couple of those balls were pretty hard hit, but his defense was there behind him.
Good location there for strike three, his second strikeout of the night.
Great spot. If he could throw it there every time, he would.
Curveball with good spin. It's a curveball that, on average, measures 2,300 rotations per minute on the spin rate. And again, the Major League average 2,500 for a pitcher on a curveball. That one was right around there, 23, 29. Right back at A.J. Coleman. Lofts it over for out number 2. And it has been the big innings that have hurt this right-handed arm's ERA. He comes into play with a 4.85 ERA through 39 innings. Last outing it was the walks. I mean, he ultimately only gave up 2 runs and 1 earned, but he had 4 walks and 4 Ks. Just kind of drew out the game and felt like he was always throwing those pressure pitches. Strike one on Trevor McKinley. Drove in the first, run back in the second inning. 2 scored by himself and Zach Gray to park the score right where it is right now. The curveball floats outside. Spread out infield and back with 2 outs. They shade McKinley to right with this left-handed bat as that one moves outside. This is a guy who slugged .620 his senior year at Martin Methodist. So the power is in there. 7 doubles, 4 triples, 2 home runs. And you can see why the triples, he hasn't had one yet here in the USPBL, but this is a guy, in Paul Nochi's word, that's kind of sneaky fast.
Right.
He gallops, is another word that Paul used.
Yeah, he gets out of the box pretty good.
Bigger guy, you wouldn't necessarily expect him to have those type of wheels, and he, for the most part, takes some good routes in the outfield as well to help him out.
Yeah, he plays fast in the outfield for sure.
Looked like a really good pitch, and he thought he had his 3rd strikeout. So did the whole infield.
Missed in a good place.
86-mile-per-hour two-seamer to fill the count at 3. First full count he's had here tonight. 3rd 3-ball count overall. Swing and a miss.
Nope,
pulled the string.
Oh, did he? Yeah, okay. I thought he got a piece. To me, it looked like he got a piece.
A curveball with spin of 2,300 that time around. He strikes out 2 for a total of 3 here in the 4th.
We joined Green Path and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to do it.
The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing Green Path is a no-brainer.
Giving you so much more. Hollywood Supermarkets, your neighborhood grocery store. Hollywood Supermarkets. Giving you so much more. Hollywood Supermarkets, your neighborhood grocery store.
We're for people, the pioneers, the underdogs, the players, and the slow and steadies. We're for people, for who they are and who they could become. Yes, we're a bank, and some say our business is all about money, but that's an old idea. Because look past the money, and you'll see real human lives. We see it, because we're for people. Huntington, welcome.
Interesting looking sky. Kind of the stretched out clouds. Hint of yellow as the sun begins to set here at Jimmy John's Field. And we quench to these longer days getting shorter and shorter here in Michigan.
Starting to feel it.
8:04 p.m.
You know, the high schools were thinking about that a little bit because they're in the process of making these fall baseball schedules, because you're allowed here in the state of Michigan now, you're allowed 16 fall practices just for 2020. At least we think it's only going to be for 2020. But you start to look at timing those practices, and you have to keep in mind when the sun's going down now.
Jamon Taylor, the only base runner he's given up was a single back in the first. Since he's retired 10 in a row. This is the most dominant we've seen him, and it's because of that right there, soft contact.
That's a good sign for him to be able to induce that soft contact. That means he's keeping people off balance, and he's throwing multiple pitches for strikes.
Something that he wanted to cut down on this year was consistency in terms of throwing strikes. He walked a few more batters than to his liking last year in a small sample size. 27 innings, 11 walks to 17 strikeouts. Has his K to walk ratio in order now at 3 walks to 10 Ks coming into play here tonight. Obviously has not surrendered a free pass so far here as he pitches into the 5th.
We don't see any stirring in the pen, so this might be his game for a little bit.
I mean, 41 pitches, why not?
Yeah, why not just let him run
And
with it?
Dan, this is a Hoppers team when you include the doubleheader that's going to play 5 times all the way to Mondays.
Right.
This one is lined out to Greg Vaughn Jr. Yes, we are playing on Monday for the first time this year because of the Labor Day holiday. 1 o'clock start, back-to-back 1 o'clocks. Sunday, Monday. Monday, fun day.
Yeah, I like it. Labor Day basically feels like a Sunday, so that makes sense. I remember in the big leagues when ESPN would start handing out those Sunday night baseball game times. It was always a nice gift if you got the one before Labor Day, because you didn't have to worry about the work day the next day. So it's 8 p.m. game on Sunday is kind of a mixed bag. It's nice for television, but it's not really great for selling tickets.
De La Cruz cuts it off, heaves it over to first. 2 up and 2 down here in the 5th, and now 12 straight recorded. And as long as he feels good, you know, it's not a question if he continues rolling that he pitches 7 here today.
Sure. Well, we've talked about it before. One of the best ways to get a complete game for yourself is getting contact outs. You know, even if you strike out everybody, that's throwing a lot of pitches. It's not easy to throw a complete game when you have a bunch of strikeouts because of that. But he's getting a lot of quick outs here.
I'm talking to Paul Nochi how this bullpen kind of fits together and how it certainly has over the last couple weeks, and a new addition from Texas, the Texas organization that is, in Nick Leo, who's proving to probably be a nice addition overall as well. You'll see a lot of Raven Martin, a lot of Dugan Darnell, and a lot of Nick Leo going forward. And certainly in this 7-inning format, you have a starter go 5. I mean, they're hoping to get, you know, 4 out of Taylor here today at a minimum. 5 is great. Now it's looking like 6 or 7 in a week where you have a lot of games. They're going to be smiling if he can keep rolling like he is here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And they have some depth guys, too, that they can throw out there when needed. You know, Quincy Jones always comes to mind. He always seems, you know, ready to do the job when you need him. And Austin Atwood, we've seen some up and down from him, but another guy that could certainly help him out.
Here's the 0-2. Swing and tapper. I thought he struck him out again. Slow down, Jeremy.
Well, you were right the last time. I was wrong.
Another slurve. It was a good one. That's why I was enthused.
Very good one. He barely got a piece of it.
Ron Williams Jr., your Zach Hart agency man on deck here in the 5th, in a 2-0 game in favor of the Eastside Diamond Hoppers here tonight. That sky is looking more and more vibrant into center field. Sun really illuminating those stretched out clouds. One and 2 on Caesar here. He grounded out back in the 2nd inning. Major league pop-up. The left side of the infield going after it. And it's Adam De La Cruz who makes his 2nd straight play here in the 5th. How about Jamon Taylor here tonight? Absolutely rolling on the USPBL network.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward, not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
When you need emergency care, you want your hospital to be ready for whatever comes through the door. Ready for any injury and any illness. Ready to respond at the speed of emergencies. That's why McLaren Macomb built a new emergency department. With advanced technology, clinical expertise, and 68 private exam rooms, we're Macomb County's largest emergency department, and we're ready for you whenever you need us. That's emergency care at McLaren Macomb. That's doing what's best.
Kid of the game, sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Nolan Douglas, 5 years old, loves playing Legos and any sport he can, and with his little sister as well. Is that a
very nice?
What is that treat he's got there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's some ice cream dipped into sprinkles, maybe.
It's always a good choice.
I never got into the Legos too much when I was a kid, for whatever reason.
No?
I don't know why. No, that's probably why I didn't become an architect or anything like that. It just didn't interest me to create that way.
I was big into the dinosaurs.
Okay.
For a while there, I thought I was going to be a movie director.
Really?
So I had.
Well, that's at least in the neighborhood of what you're doing.
So I got a camcorder, one that took tapes back in the day.
Oh yeah,
from Santa Claus.
Sure, the little tapes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The ones that needed the like the adapter to go into the VCR.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
So that was fun for a while, and then I was always really shy as a kid, and then somehow I got into broadcasting.
I don't know if directors or talent can be shy.
That's true. Jake Hoover, Jordan Pontius, Miles Miller, 8-9-1. And the order here for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers coming up is this one punched foul. A.J. Coleman has settled in a little bit, Dan.
He has. That was a nice inning last time out. Probably his best inning that we've seen in several outings. He can be that way. It just really has everything to do with his command, and even with his breaking ball, it's very important that he doesn't leave it up. And right on cue. Every time I say something.
Hits Hoover to begin the 5th inning. Hoover is on for the 2nd time today. Reached via the fielder's choice back in the second inning. That's where they sent 7 to the plate. Gray, Mahalik, McKinley, Hoover, Pontius all reached. Zinging one over to first base, and Williams Jr. puts on his first tag of the night. Snapped a 7-batter streak of recorded outs.
Looks like R.J. Williams is going to end up playing a little more first base than he otherwise would have expected. I think the Beavers had Haffey there for so long when he was on the taxi squad, and they don't really have what you'd call a stereotypical first baseman, I don't think, on this team, really. And by stereotypical, I mean look at that.
Another pickle here is...
Can we get multiple pickle pizzas?
Williams Jr. gets caught in between.
And that's Comer. Look at that.
How about it?
You don't often see a catcher get involved in a pickle that does not involve home plate. Good hustle. Scott Pickens, the former catcher, gives him a smack and says, "Nice job." My prototypical first baseman, someone who tends to be tall, maybe throws left-handed, hits a lot of home runs, that type of guy. Williams really more of a utility type player. Does hit left-handed.
Shoemaker probably would be the everyday first baseman.
Sure, could see that.
I believe he has his MRI tomorrow. So he was dealing with a number of different injuries together. This one's strike one on Jordan Pontius. Nice approach. He got an RBI back in the 2nd inning. Just not trying to do too much overall. That usually works out for you.
It does. Put a good swing on a good pitch.
He does there, but this one won't quite get through. Is Cuevas with a nice play for the 2nd out here in the 5th.
Outlining the center fielder, number 15, the Canadian Nightmare,
Miles Miller now will get his 3rd appearance at the plate. Line out to left and a ground ball up the middle. So the Shoemaker diagnosis before his ultrasound, and that was actually scheduled for today as I look back at my notes here. It says, right now they told me I have a bruised metacarpal and a sprained tendon. I have to go back in for x-rays and an ultrasound on Monday to check for torn ligaments and smaller fractures. I'm not sure that they've looked at the results of that. quite yet. This one low and inside to Miles Miller. Here's the 1-1.
You can see how his ball appears to sink even more when it's down in the zone. When it's up, it just seems to flatten out more.
And that fastball is a pitch he got a couple double plays on in the last outing. So overall, he doesn't necessarily not like where it's at. It's just the location, as you kind of speak to there.
Right. And he doesn't get a lot of swing and miss, so the location is important.
Troyer capping under it. Ooh, has to skedaddle back. And it hangs on in the end.
I guarantee that was a scary feeling.
So for the fourth time here tonight, A.J. Coleman faces the minimum here in the fifth inning. More after this.
When you are in need of air conditioning services, turn to the experienced professionals in McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration. Since 1970, we've been delivering high-quality air conditioning installation and repair services. Call for a free estimate today. Let us help you be cool and comfortable. For comprehensive HVAC services, contact McQuaid Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Refrigeration today.
The Weingarts family is honored to be celebrating 75 years of helping families like yours with your lawn equipment needs. While the equipment has changed, our grandfather's founding values and commitment to quality still drive our business.
We carry top brands like Exmark, Toro, Honda, Cub Cadet, and more. See the full lineup at Weingarts.com.
Whether it's new equipment, parts, or service, we work to earn your trust in each of our 6 locations.
From our family to yours, thank you for letting us serve you.
Weingarts, everything from lawn to snow.
Now tonight, another We're Hiring Wednesday, brought to you by United Shore. With award-winning training programs and a culture dedicated to self-improvement, it's no wonder why they're Metro Detroit's fastest-growing company. Check out their open roles at unitedshore.com/careers. Again, that's unitedshore.com/careers. Jamon Taylor, it's been fun to watch here today. He's back out for the 6th inning.
This is the kind of guy that you'd love to play behind if you're one of the infielders. It's just attacking hitters, getting contact early in the count, soft contact, and getting his team through the inning. Been very efficient with his pitches. Certainly looks every bit as if he could complete this game himself right now. Not sure if he's going to have that opportunity or not, if Paul Noce wants him to do that or not, but he certainly has that look to him right now.
That he does. The most locked in we have seen him this season. Just 50 pitches here tonight through 5 innings. How about the Detroit Tigers? Leading 3-0 over the Milwaukee Brewers in the bottom of the 2nd inning currently, with Spencer Turnbull on the mound. Trying to win another series.
Yeah, they feel pretty good about themselves when Turnbull's out there, I think, most of the time now. Been a streaky team. They went through a tough time there when some of the pitching injuries came down, but brought up Mize and Skubal, and that's helped out a little bit. But Turnbull's throwing well. Boyd has been a little better.
Tampa Bay up 4-0 versus the New York Yankees. Yankees scuffling at this point with all those guys in and out of the DL. Washington and Philadelphia tied 0-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Toronto with a 2-1 lead over Miami. Here's the 2-0 pitch, swing and a miss by Ron Williams Jr. He was ahead 3-1 before grounding out to the second baseman Jordan Pontius. Ron is 6 for his last 18, broke a 4-game hitting streak in the second game of the doubleheader. 88-mile-per-hour fastball runs in for strike 2.
It's a really tough pitch for a left-handed hitter, just right on the inside corner.
And that's something that's a little bit newer to Jamon Taylor in terms of crowding guys inside. 2-2 pitches high. He said, I'm able to go back and view these games on YouTube and work with some of the good catchers in this league. And I found, look, my ball's running, and it's running well.
Right.
So why not try to crowd some of these guys inside and make them a little uncomfortable? If you can command it there, that's a weapon. There's his first base runner since the first inning.
That is his first walk, isn't it?
It is, yep. Only his 4th of the year. That snaps a 13-out streak going back to the first inning, which after he recorded that 4-6-3 double play.
This may prompt the Hoppers to get somebody loose in the pen just as a precaution when you walk the leadoff man.
73 pitches is his high on the year. But I imagine, again, if he's feeling good, he could probably go to 80 or so, maybe 85. This is his 5th outing. Came into the game tonight with 15 pitches or innings under his belt.
If he can get through this inning with the lead, you could hand it right to Dugan Darnell.
It is the first of a back-to-back here for the Diamond Hoppers, which has been pretty rare for them overall. We talked about them playing 5 times if you count Monday as the same week, or even Sunday. Some people count Sunday as the new week, but in terms of games all in a row, we're going to Monday this week, and between the doubleheader tonight, tomorrow, and Monday, it's going to be 5 games, and that stretch way over the noggin there of Warren as Williams advances to second, and now they have their first runner in scoring position here tonight.
He's showing a few cracks in the armor right now here in the 6th inning. He's getting stretched out a little bit. He might be starting to get a little bit tired.
Good block by Warren.
For the young catchers, you can see how he really led with the glove there. The pitch was to his right side, and he led with the glove and was able to swing his hips around to that side, drop his left knee down. You can tell he's been working on that.
He has become pretty much the everyday catcher for this Diamond Hoppers team, and that's not a surprise. We knew that they were going to want to catch him a lot just because he was drafted in that position. Popped up and sinking to right. McKinley records out number 1. It does allow Williams to advance to 3rd with only 1 out now.
McKinley is pretty adept at going along that right field fence. He makes the vast one.
Jonathan Brandt, the designated hitter, hitting 9th here today. Only with his second AB. He's 0 for 1 with a pop out that completed a 1-2-3 inning in the 3rd for Javon Taylor. He has faced the minimum of every inning so far. It's going to take some magic for him to do that here in the 6th. Fastball at 91, one of his best of the day, in for strike 1. That's where it's topped out so far this season. Slurve anywhere from 75 to 77. The changeup 83 to 84.
Infield playing back here. They'll give up the run in exchange for the out. At this stage, you're only 5 outs from winning the ball game. So if you've got a 2-run lead, you want to get as many outs as you can.
Brandt only 1 hit in his last 6, but he's got 8 walks in that stretch and no strikeouts. And he has almost evened out his walk-to-strikeout ratio now and increased his OBP to 328. 12 walks to 14 Ks to this point. Average only at 146. But if you're getting on base, that's all that matters, I guess.
Little surprised Williams took off on that ball. A lot of times if you're on third base, you'll break for home on a ball hit anywhere except to the third baseman. But it looked like he was going there on anything.
There's no action in the Beavers bullpen, so they might give A.J. Coleman another inning. He's figured things out. Faced the minimum himself in 3 straight. After a long 7-batter second. Fastball that rose high, 2-2. One strikeout thus far for Jamon Taylor. That certainly allowed his pitch count to be succinct here today. 66 now here in the 6th.
Another big block.
Does seem to be losing a little bit of gas here in the 6th inning.
If his pitch count wasn't in such good shape, I think they might have taken him out by now.
Nick Leo is throwing. Swing and a miss. Wow, that had some late action on that. 88 mile per hour fastball.
It was down in the zone. Got on him quick.
You could almost mistake that for a breaking ball, the way it kind of darted in. And is this it for Jamon Taylor here?
Looks like it. He's getting his congratulations all the way around.
He looked a tad bit disappointed. I think he probably wanted to finish out the 6th inning, but regardless, a great game for Jamon Taylor if he is done. Leo coming in from the bullpen down the left field line. Fist pumps all around. Gives up just 2 base runners here today, a single in the 1st and a walk in the 6th inning. Leo charging in. He's your Hoffman Dental pitching change here in the 6th with 2 outs. So Leo, the big-bodied right-hander, getting ready to try to shut down the runner on 3rd. We'll check his numbers when we get back on the USPBL Network.
Detroit Mercy itself definitely values who you are as a person. Not only did I take what I learned in the academic world, but I was able to apply that in a professional setting and be the first one of my family to graduate from college.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Catch the Chevy Colorado at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Lease a 2020 Colorado LT 4-wheel drive crew cab for just $229 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Nick Leo getting his 3rd relief appearance of the year. He's pitched 2 2/3, only allowed 1 hit, 1 walk to 3 strikeouts thus far.
He's been pretty strong. Good 3-pitch mix between his fastball, slider, and changeup. Fastball gets up to 91 consistently, maxes out at about 93. Certainly going to be a key for this Hopper squad going forward. Short relief. Western Michigan University product. Good pitching in that MAC conference. Sneaky good. Another guy who pitched for Short A Spokane in 2019.
Last inning against these very Beavers, both of them have been against the Beavers so far. An inning, no hits, given up 1 walk to 2 strikeouts. Took 21 pitches to do so. His first outing was an inning and 2/3. Gave up a run, no walks, and 1 strikeout. First pitch is a 91 mile per hour fastball up top to the top of the order, TJ Riles. Fastball, slider, changeup, 2-seam and a 4-seam. You see the 4-seam most often at 40%, the slider at 30%.
I don't know if it actually was the 2-seam there, but that ball tailed away from Riles. Had nice movement. Certainly looked like a 2-seam.
Checked his swing. He did, according to the confirmation.
Tried to come back with the opposite there. He had the 2-seam that was tailing away, and he came back with the slider darting in on the hands. Just couldn't get him to chase it.
Talk about imminent pitchers bearing down on you. Coleman at 6'8", but this man's 6'5", 205.
He looks every bit of that 205. He looks solid.
Here's a 2-2 on Riles. Low and in. 20th round pick in the 2018 draft by Texas. Who knows? Maybe he would be done playing if he was in COVID times in terms of getting drafted. 5 rounds is so much different than what we've ever experienced in Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
Coaxes a walk. That puts runners on first and third here with 2 outs, and Freddie Geely looking to get on for the second time here tonight.
I think going forward we may see something similar to what we saw this year with the MLB draft. I don't think they're going to go with 5 rounds, but I think they're going to go with less rounds going forward than maybe they did at one time. They're cutting down on the number of affiliated clubs.
Bluffing is Riles. He's got 6 stolen bases, but when you're down 2 in the late innings and there hasn't been a lot of signs of your offense breaking out, you don't want to make that out at second base here.
You don't, but you'd love to get into position where a base hit ties the game too. He may try to pick the right time to go here.
1-1 on Geely.
You do have a pretty good contact hitter at the plate, so he may think about doing it in a 2-strike situation.
He'd love to be in this scenario with 1 out. Here's the 1-1 in there for strike 2. Good job by Leo to pound the 91-mile-per-hour four-seam fastball in for strike 2. One strike away from getting out of it. He's moving now. There's a fly ball to left center field. Vaughn Jr. chasing that into the gap, and he squeezes it for out number 3. Nick Leo comes in, walks the first batter he sees, and able to strand him and the leadoff man Ron Williams Jr. at first base, and holds a 2-0 victory, or 2-0 lead, I should say.
Looking for a great rate on a new vehicle? Introducing our credit union's Drive promotion with rates as low as 1.89% and no payments for 90 days. Or refinance and save on your current auto loan with our 1% lower guarantee. You can now get pre-approved and close a loan remotely with our convenient online application process. Stop in today or visit ourcuonline.org/drive to drive away happy.
Upcoming games brought to you by Motor City Casino Hotel. Tomorrow, it's the Hoppers and the Unicorns. On Friday, it's the Mammoths and the Beavers. And then the double dip on Saturday features the Beavers and the Hoppers. And if you weren't with us at the very top of the show or early on as well, when we were kind of talking about this new format that's been presented in the USPBL. The standings at the beginning of the year are erased in the sense that everyone is now 0-0, with a little bit of shifting of the schedule to make sure that every team plays 8 7-inning games going forward. The Utica Unicorns have 1 win, and it's a point system now. 3 points awarded for a win, 1 point for a tie, nothing for a loss. So they virtually have a win in the column, and we talked about it earlier, basically a 3.5 game lead because they own any tiebreaker that will happen because they were the #1 overall seed in the regular season. With this push to the playoffs kind of unfolding here, it's Adam De La Cruz, Xavier Warren, and Zach Gray to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. Your Zach Hart agency 3 men due up. De La Cruz today 0 for 2, has hit 2 balls well, but been right to Romero Harris as he looks at strike 1 here. 2 curveballs, I believe, off the arm of A.J. Coleman thus far. He's out there for the 6th inning, and the way the 2nd inning unfolded, it's good to see him out here this late in the game. Settled down quite nicely.
He has.
It's only allowed a hit by pitch since the 7-batter 2nd, and all things considered, it wasn't all that bad in terms of what he did. A lot of weak contact.
Yep. Yeah, I thought he ran into a little bit of bad luck in that inning where he allowed the runs, between the error and the ball that deflected off of his mitt. Really could have gone better for him in hindsight.
He got De La Cruz to whiff. He's 0 for 3 here tonight. Now it's Xavier Warren's turn. Strikeout in the 1st and a line out in the 3rd for Xavier. I talked to Paul Noce before tonight's game about his offensive production, and everybody thinks that it's going to get better. Whether that comes immediately in the USPBL this year when he's hopefully with affiliated ball next year, as long as it happens, is this one in for strike 1 on Xavier. And Paul really attributes maybe some of those struggles to the fact that he's catching every day now.
Right.
And he really hasn't dealt with the grind of catching while also trying to hit at the same time.
It's not easy, especially if you're not used to it. That's why you don't see that many great offensive catchers in the big league game. You really don't.
And he's not worried about him because he thinks, ultimately that will settle down and he'll get his stamina up and, his ability to hit and catch at the same time at the next level here, but it is going to take a little bit of time.
That's why sometimes when you have a franchise player who's a catcher, like Joe Mauer, for instance, that's why you end up moving them out of that position a lot of times, especially for the second half of their career.
1-1, a flare into the glove of Troyer over at third base. So not only do they get a big bat back, but they get a dependable third baseman back as well on Troyer. Had that broken hand, was out for 5 weeks. It felt like longer. His original diagnosis called for a 6 to 8 week recovery, so overall he came back sooner than they would have ever thought.
I think the fact that he wasn't sitting around that whole time was good for him. He kept being around the team, throwing a lot of batting practice, kept moving around, stayed in good shape.
That's the thing. The one hand still worked.
Right. And they say there's some transference there, too. If your one arm is inactive and you exercise the other arm, there's actually some transference that goes on there to the inactive arm.
I mean, he just got the cast off last Monday. This is ring finger bone. And he didn't even necessarily know it was broken. His indication when he went back out there defensively in the next half inning was that he couldn't squeeze his glove.
Right. I remember he didn't come out right away.
The bat didn't lose a beat. Today he's 0 for 2, but his first 2 games back in the doubleheader, 4 for 7. A run, an RBI, a double. One and two quickly on Zach Gray. He reached on an error and scored back in the 2nd and flew out in the 3rd inning here against A.J. Coleman. Price is warming, the 1-2 outside.
They'll have Price just in case they're able to tie this thing in the top half of the 7th.
Out of the reach of Caesar at shortstop. That's only the 2nd base runner since the 2nd inning. Hit a batter to start the 5th. Got out of that unscathed.
Good piece of hitting there by Gray. Got the sinker down and away and didn't chase it. Just let it travel a little bit. Drove it to the opposite field.
Von Joshua making the slow walk out to the mound here. And that looks to be it for Coleman, I believe.
I didn't think they'd make the change yet unless he had trouble getting out of this inning, but looks like he doesn't want to mess around with with Mahalik and Vaughn here.
So Mahalik today at a single back in the second inning. Actually, that's Gavin Wayman coming on. Sometimes hard to see down in the bullpen with the lights the way they are right now. And it's Wayman who takes over for Coleman here in the sixth. Back with more after this here on the USPBL Network. I think so.
Crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of summer. Make every moment of summer count by picking up Budweiser today.
Gavin Wayman, your Hoffman Dental pitching change here in the sixth inning of play. Take a look at the USPBL standings brought to you by Scott's. So we explained that the Unicorns on top with 3 points. So 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 8 games remaining for all those teams. We'll kind of track that. So that'll be a good indication as well of where teams are at. But you see 17-10 in the regular season for the Unicorns. Hoppers at 12-12-1. The Beavers just 1 win below that. And the Mammoths were trending, weren't they?
They were coming on, but sort of a clean slate for them now. They really get an opportunity to compete now. I think they feel better about their roster going forward, and I think they've got a shot. They've got a real shot here to make some noise.
Good job by Garrett Chrisman to settle down. He is able to pitch 5 2/3 in the end. He notched 1, 2, 3 strikeouts in total. Gave up 4 hits and hit 1 batter as well. Riley Mahalik comes up here in the sixth against Gavin Wayman, trying to capture a AAA insurance run. Popped him up. Onto the outfield grass. Staring into the black sky here tonight for out number 3. That's quite the job by Gavin Wayman as he comes in for A.J. Coleman.
1 pitch outing, perhaps.
Strands a runner immediately. Time for the race.
Those Motor City wheels are messing around, waiting to get the call to go downtown. La 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 Taking some time and having some fun, waiting to get the call that it's time to run.
Holy Hot Rods, it's race time. Chevy Detroit wheels, start your engines.
Who do you got here today?
Well, I want to see who's there first. I'll go with Petey Pickup.
Petey Pickup coming out third, Bella Air. Shelly Chevelle, the third participant here tonight.
There's Petey. He's in good shape right now.
He always kind of takes that inside approach, and now he's going to showboat. My goodness.
I don't like when he stops to taunt like that.
He's still got more than halfway to go, and he's trying to showboat Shelly there.
Didn't cost him yet.
Sprint out to a lead. We'll see if he tries to do it again as he nears the first base dugout, and it is Petey Pickup, your winner here tonight in your Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers race. Chevy drives the Motor City.
And Nick Leo with the save opportunity here. Thought they might go to Dugan Darnell, who's typically been in that role, but sticking with Leo. Get to keep Darnell on the shelf for another day. They got a lot of games this week.
Makes sense as long as Leo can get out of it. I'm not sure if there's any action on the base pass. They'll get Darnell warming, but 4 save opportunities in the minors, and short A ball has notched 2 of those. gave up a walk as he came in for Jamon Taylor, already inherited a runner on third base, but then ended up stranding the side with a fly out by Freddie Geely. There's a pitch to Cameron Comer that remains outside. A couple ground balls to the second baseman. One was to erase the one-out single given up by Jamon Taylor. He gave up just a single and a walk here tonight in 5 2/3 innings. I think he was slightly disappointed that they didn't allow him to finish the 6th inning, but I think maybe wanted him to just, continue to get that good taste in his mouth.
Yeah, it's always a delicate balance.
There's a popper into left field in front of Greg Vaughn Jr., and that's exactly the way that the Beavers wanted to start it out here in the 7th.
Wonder if they'll think about possibly running for Comer here.
You've got Wheatley, who's got some speed, and Irving on the bench. Doesn't look like they will do that.
They may save one of those guys for a tying run, go-ahead run type situation.
Well, you always got to think, too, if, in fact, they get 2 runs. Runs have been such at a premium here today. 2 runs would be a big feat here in the 7th. And then you find yourself in a tie game if you don't score any more, and then one of your best hitters out of the lineup.
Right.
So that's always a tough decision as well.
Also, do they have another active
catcher? Yeah, that's
another
true.
active catcher because Shoemaker's hurt, so I don't know if...
Who's the emergency catcher? We got to find that out.
Not sure.
Don Kelly, maybe. Swing and a miss.
I could see Freddie Geely catch. I could picture that.
Jalen Smith, a utility player, along with Ron Williams Jr. Not sure that they would exactly fit, but you never know.
I don't know. Wouldn't put it past him.
It's a major tail on that 4-seam fastball. We've seen some good breaks on fastballs here today.
We have, and as you mentioned, it hasn't necessarily been the 2-seamer, which is usually the one that gets better movement. Although I think Leo throws both. Jamon Taylor, not so much. He's more of a 4-seam guy.
That's towards the gap. McKinley got to it. Playing over along the line. Took a good route for the first out here in the 7th. Jalen Smith trying to get on for the first time today. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of ground balls. One to the shortstop Hoover. The second to the third baseman De La Cruz. This is a bat they're hoping to lean on as the playoffs approach. On the ground, third base side foul. I mean, these are virtually the playoffs, calling it the push to the playoffs here at the end of the season. The true playoffs come a few weeks from now.
It's definitely the home stretch. You know, if you think about your hometown MLB team out there, when you're right in the race and you got 8 games left, you certainly feel like you're in the home stretch. This is it. Nobody's behind by more than 1 game right now, so everybody's right there with 8 games.
Here's the 1-1. Bender that's popped up. De La Cruz. Been aggressive at his third base position here today, able to hammer home the second out. Nick Leo 1 out away from his first save here in the USPBL.
Normally you'd think about a home run here in this type of situation. You know, it's a tying run at the plate, 2 outs. Cuevas not a huge home run type, but we did see 1 so far. So
it was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that power.
Line drive to the pole field down the left field line. 0 for 2 tonight. Another good slider in for strike 1. Reminder, 4-seam, 2-seam, slider, changeup for Nick Leo.
A lot of swing and miss on that slider.
Swing and a miss. Yeah, between called strikes and swings and misses, that accounts for 38.5% when he gets either of those two results. Fly ball to right field. That's chasing McKinley back to the warning track, edging out to make the catch. And that seals the first USPBL save for Nick Leo, his third as a pro. Nice job to strand the leadoff single by Cameron Comer here in the 7th.
Yeah, Nick Leo gives them another closer type on this ball club. Dugan Darnell, the typical guy, and Raymond Martin's closed a little bit too, but they've got a nice looking back end of the bullpen now between those three guys.
We'll talk with our Michigan surgery specialist player of the game from the United Shore Media Desk in our Auto Lab post-game show shortly here on the USPBL Network. But your final thoughts on this one, Dan?
You know, I think Jamon Taylor's really the story of this ball game. He continues to improve every time he's out there. He looks like a guy who's really going to settle into a rotation spot for these hoppers, and they need that. You know, Goetze's has been pretty solid. Zane Collins been up and down a little bit, so they need Taylor in that spot if they're going to push into a top seed here in the playoffs.
Some happy hoppers here tonight. We'll talk to their player of the game when we get back.
Ain't too many of the teams can defeat us. You on the sideline warming up the benches. Need a lesson I can show you, I can teach ya. You see a Diamond Hopper fan, point 'em out. Ayy, fly ball, catch a frog, walk it out. Ayy, every time we score, I'm throwing up my diamond. Both hands in the air, same timing. Let's rock. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers.
This is a university unlike any other university. You will find out a lot about yourself and your career that you're going into. It's prepping me for the real world experiences that I will encounter once I do graduate.
With its many leadership programs and classes that integrate service learning into its curriculum, acts as not only a resume builder, but a character builder. And I couldn't put a price tag on it. And it will be invaluable to my career.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Last year, Belfour did 114,000 different jobs around the world. We've been to floods, fires, tornado sites, earthquakes, where people have lost everything. Yes, your homes can be rebuilt, and yes, your businesses will be rebuilt, but most importantly, your lives will be rebuilt. There's nothing that we cannot fix, and we believe that.
It's our pictures.
To me, that's Belfour. At Belfour, we're restoring more than property.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
My education here isn't just academic. This school wants you to be the best you that you can be. If you really want somewhere that can inspire you, who you want to be in life, this is the place to be.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
With us, you can expect something more. More guidance,
Do you trust me, Mom?
more dedication, more commitment. So you can celebrate today and be prepared for tomorrow. Insurance through AAA. Expect something more.
The post-game show here on the USPBL Network is presented by Auto Lab. Here with our Michigan surgery specialist player of the game, it's Jamon Taylor. You could have probably guessed it here today. 5 2/3, one hit, a hit batter here tonight as we welcome you to the United Shore Media Desk. Getting ahead in the count is something you kind of talked to me about before the game, and you did that here tonight.
Just, like it's a point of emphasis as a starter to get ahead in the count, get that first strike. It opens up so many different avenues of pitches you can go, locations and things like that.
We also talked about, kind of running in on batters inside. That was something you did efficiently here tonight, and the slurve had really good break. Just what did you see in those two aspects, I guess?
It's kind of like a crisscross effect. The fastball runs in on righties, and then the slurve breaks away from righties. So just working with those two efficiently and just, like I said, getting ahead of the count made them that much better.
Dan and I kind of talked about it as well. You revealed something kind of interesting, the slurve. So it's kind of the combination of a slider and a curveball, but you don't necessarily worry about, it has more of a slider break or it has a curveball break. You just kind of go with it. At what point, kind of in your career, did you just kind of accept for what it is and take advantage of whatever that is night to night?
I think my junior year of college, I became a starter my junior year, and then I had to be more efficient, be more positive and mentally strong. So as long as it's breaking and it's breaking consistently, I'll work with it and, throw it for a strike.
Well, under the new format, this is a big time win for your team as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how many in a row this is. This might be is this the first one in a row? It is, but yeah, just trying to get ahead. It's playoff month.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you look at, this new format that the USPBL has put together. We kind of talked about it all throughout the broadcast as well. A win equals three points in the end, kind of a point system going forward. But you looked at the battle between yourself, the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, certainly in the Westside Woolly Mammoths. It was tight there. So now it becomes even more tighter, and you try to, maybe jump the #1 seed in the Unicorns as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, to get the #1 seed. I think it's everybody's goal in the USPBL, but it's definitely ours on the Hoppers.
Well, the delivery value system, something you guys go through as a pitcher frequently with Justin Orenduff and the whole pitching staff. What else are you trying to, continue to tweak as the season rolls away?
Just, being more consistent with the DVS program. I worked on a hip-shoulder separation that a little bit. I think I did it well tonight, but we'll see later on, when I check the video and talk to Duff as well. So.
Yeah, and that's something you kind of said that you went away from last game, but really harped on it in your side sessions before tonight, right?
Yeah. When my catch play, there's a certain drill for it, the wave drill that you focused on separation, and I felt it during that drill, so I'm just hoping it translated to the game.
Well, Jamon, thanks for catching up with us here tonight. Great start. Looking forward to what you can do going forward as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
He's our Michigan surgery specialist, player of the game. A big-time victory for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers here tonight in their first of 5 between today and Monday. They'll play a doubleheader on Saturday and tomorrow here at Jimmy John's Field as well. For our whole crew here tonight, my broadcast partner Dan Griesbaum Jr., our director PJ Grodowski, and our graphics operator Jeremiah Hergott. We thank everybody for their contributions here tonight. We thank all of you for watching. I'm Jeremy Addo. We'll see you again at 7:05 tomorrow with the pregame at 6:50 here on the USPBL Network. Have a great night, everybody.